Thanks for joining me for the Founders and Startups podcast. This is Lisa Connor's Vote. I'm an executive and leadership coach, and I am excited to bring you another founder today. This guy is very special. His name is Marcus Bullock, and he's the founder and CEO at Flikshop. Hey there, Marcus.
Hey, how are you, Lisa? Thank you so much for having me on.
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining me. This is awesome. Marcus is taking time out of his super busy schedule. He's joining us from a hotel lobby in DC where he could find a minute to find a space to record this. And he's been hustling. And he's going to tell us a little bit about his story. I just want to share, Marcus, that I looked back in my notes because to see when we last did a podcast together. You were on my first podcast, Ever Better, and it was back in July 2016. It was more than 3 years ago. Crazy.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
We're still here. We're still here fighting, kicking ass.
We're still here, and you're doing bigger and bigger things, and I think I am, but you're really taking off. I first saw you tell your story at the story. It was a story slam in DC, and I was like, oh man, that guy. What an amazing individual. So since then, you've really done some cool stuff. Hey, you have a TED Talk that's up on the Big TED website. Yeah. I just looked at the stats. I want to tell you, I just looked at the stats, and so far it's 563,700 views. Did you know that?
Wow. No. So, I haven't been tracking the views. I know that we reached 500,000. And I couldn't believe it. Like, that was already mind blowing for me. But to now know that we're approaching 600,000, it's like, it hasn't been a week yet. I think it'll be a week today. So yeah, I'm super pumped.
Nice. Okay. Well, also I looked at it 2 hours ago and it was at 550,000. So in 2 hours, it went up almost 14,000 views.
Wow.
So It's taken off. Okay. So to give listeners and viewers of this video some sense of your background, I'm just going to read what they put up for you on the TED website because I thought it was a pretty good summary. And also, I just want to repeat, this is what's on the TED website. You're on the TED website. How cool is that?
It's so humbling. I can't
Here's what they're saying about you. Following his 2004 release from prison, Marcus Bullock launched a construction business that grew to employ other returning citizens. Bullock is also founder and CEO of Flikshop, a software company that builds tools to help incarcerated people stay connected to their families and build community. The Flikshop mobile app enables families and nonprofit organizations to send personalized postcards to any person in any cell in the U.S. with the mission of using social connections to decrease recidivism. Forbes calls the app Instagram for prisoners. Bullock also founded the Flikshop School of Business, a program that teaches returning citizens life skills and entrepreneurship via computer coding and software development. He's an inaugural cohort member of Techstars Anywhere 2018 and John Legend's Unlocked Futures Business Accelerator. He's also a member of the Justice Policy Institute's board of directors and serves as an advisor to the Aspen Institute's Opportunity Youth Incentive Fund. Somewhere along the line, also, you were at the White House giving a talk recently.
Yeah. Big fun.
That's a lot.
I cannot believe it. Like, that is so humbling even to hear. Lisa, I tell you, there's no way that you could have told me that this was going to be how my life began to pan out. And to be able to, while even to hear all of those things, and it's super cool, but to know how many families we're blessed to be able to serve every day, it's incredible. I'm so grateful, so blessed.
Yeah, well, you're making it happen.
Thank
Tell us a little bit about, that's your brief bio, and then a little bit about Flikshop. Tell us, actually, people are probably wondering right now, what is Flikshop? Maybe you can tell us about Flikshop and then go back and tell us a little bit more about your story.
Yeah, so we wanted to be able to be intentional about building the technologies that kept families connected that suffered from incarceration. In jails, prisons, juvenile detention centers, ICE detention centers. These facilities are filled with people that are there that are living without family connection. They're struggling to be able to keep any kind of connection together because there's no internet. There's no Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, no emailing, texting, any of those kind of, levels of connectivity that you and I use every day. And so over the days and then the weeks and then the months and then now the years, and for some even decades go by without any connectivity. And we wanted to be able to ensure that we were intentional about building affordable tech that allowed families to do that easier.
So how does Flikshop work? If I have
So
a friend
yeah.
who's incarcerated, what do I do?
So the first iteration of the product that we were building, we started with a mobile app, which is the most popular of our technologies. The mobile app allows our users to be able to take a picture, add some quick text, press send, and for 99 cents, we take that picture and text and we print it on a real tangible photo postcard, and we
Nice.
send it to any person in any cell anywhere in the country. And we wanted to do that because we know that the majority of us communicate in via, Facebook or Instagram with our cousins or our loved ones, or our best friends, or some of us through texting and emailing. And we wanted to be able to make sure that our users had an easy, efficient way to go from their smartphone to directly to someone's cell without any barriers.
Yeah. So how many Flikshop postcards are being sent on a daily or weekly basis?
It fluctuates, during the different week of the month of the year, right? Like even right now, I mean, as you can imagine, like the amount of flik shops that have started to become, get shipped because of the first day of school. And then now we're getting right up against Halloween season where these babies are going to have all these cute costumes, and mom that's been away, going to be away for the next 3 or 4 months, or, even 4 and 5 years for some of them. They want to be able to share in those experiences of seeing, their Vampirina costume on their baby girl. And so, dad takes a picture, on Halloween Eve at the party. He presses a couple buttons, and all of a sudden that picture ends up on a postcard and gets shipped directly to mom's cell. Right now, we're averaging somewhere, around about 10 to 15,000 flik shops per month that we're starting to ship, and we're starting to see a huge increase go as time goes along. And I'm super excited about, where the company's going.
Yeah, amazing. Do you send Flikshop postcards to your buddies that are still incarcerated?
For me, like Flikshop was such an accident. Like when I built this technology, I never thought that we were going to be building the tech that's going to change the world or lead me to like the White House, right? Like we were building this because I wanted a simple way to be able to text my friends. My friends were in there. I didn't have the bandwidth to be able to sit down and write a letter. I didn't even know how to be able to print a photo from my phone. And I definitely wasn't going to like the grocery store or Walmart or something to go buy envelopes every week. Who knows where you buy postage? And so the relationships began to strain. But I needed an easier way to communicate with them. So we built Flikshop.
Yeah, yeah. So I bet everybody who's still incarcerated that you were in there with, who you grew up with, I bet they love getting those messages from you.
Yeah. It's fun. I mean, I send all types of pictures. I mean, sometimes I send the pictures I post on Facebook and Instagram. Our story or a thread of photos of an event, right? Like I'll take, especially with the holidays coming up, as my kids get dressed for, don't get their costume putting on, I'll take pictures of them while they're putting their costume on. That's going on one Flikshop. And then I'll have another Flikshop with them actually with the costume on. And then that's another Flikshop. Then I'll send another Flikshop with them going to the first person's door and knocking on and getting that candy. That's another Flikshop. And what happens is my friends will come home and they'll be able to have relationships with not just me because I'm their boy, but they'll have relationships with my children, and my children will have relationships with them that they otherwise wouldn't have had had it not been for tech.
Yeah, it's amazing. You tell your story about that night that landed you in jail and the TED Talk, and people can link to it. I'll put it in the show notes. But could you just tell us briefly, like what transpired and how your life unfolded?
Yeah, no, I mean, so I made a horrible decision when I was 15 years old. I decided to steal a car from someone. It landed me in front of a judge with my friend. He was 16. It was about maybe a couple of weeks after my 15th birthday. I was in front of a judge, and that judge sentenced me to 8 years in adult maximum security prisons with my mom and my sister sitting a few feet behind me, just crying their eyes out, trying to figure out what was happening. But at the time, I was so young, I didn't even really understand what was going on myself. I couldn't wrap my head around, my life being changed and taken out of my sophomore year of high school and off the basketball team. Like that was my world, like on homecoming, right? Like that was my world. And so facing a long prison sentence with, you know, a bunch of men who were serving life sentences, couldn't wrap my head around it. So eventually, while doing, you know, while I was on the journey and into like watching things around me that, you know, became a part of the fabric of just the environment I was in, like the violence, all of um, the way that people would cheat and just, I mean, it was crazy times. Um,
Yeah.
my mom, she was just like, I can't let my baby go. It's my son, it's my only son. He's in there and I want to hug on him. I want to emote with him. I want to be able to like tell him that things are going to be okay, but I have to like be strong for this 1 hour visit that I have with him or for that 15-minute phone call that I had with him. And her solution to being able to keep our relationship strong and tight and ensuring that I kept a level head was to be able to write me letters and photos. And so she made a promise that she would write me a bunch of letters and photos. And she did that. And she would write me letters and send me pictures of all types of just the basic things, some of the same stuff I send to my friends now. And it just kept me connected to my family. It kept me like just there and rooted inside of like having a relationship with them. And so when I came home from prison in 2004, I had served 8 years. The world had completely changed. When I went in, there was no internet. I came home, there was the internet, right? Buildings were, you know, buildings that once were gone, and they were, you know, swapped out with taller skyscrapers and, you know, fed with innovations that I just couldn't have began to dream of, right? Like TVs were like flat up against walls and, you know, it was bananas, you know, like the world to me was completely different. And so I try to kind of sort of try to fight through navigating what that looked like. And finally, I was blessed to be able to get some grounding. And my mom was so instrumental along that entire journey.
She's an amazing woman.
Oh my goodness, I'm so grateful for her. I'm such a blessing. I mean, you can't, you know, one of the things I say in my TED talk, like you just cannot stop a mother's love.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. And you've got kids of your own too, right?
Yes. So Marcus Jr., he's 9, and my daughter Aya, she turns 4 in March. She's the boss of the house though.
Okay. Well, you know, you gotta know, you gotta know what's going on at home. Yeah, so, Marcus, can we turn to the operations of Flikshop and how this grew?
Sure.
Like, what did the first iteration of Flikshop look like?
I mean, the first iteration of Flikshop looks very similar to what it looks like now. I mean, the UI has changed over the years. I mean, a couple of things inside of the user experience have changed, but we were very intentional about deep diving into a product that was very, very seamless and easy to use. So in theory, like it never changed, right? The core values of our company are still strong, and the what we want to accomplish with our user base is very, very key. And it's cemented in how we want our technology to be leveraged, no matter where we go with it, right? Which is like figure out a way go from someone's easily everyday use of technology into bringing that into a prison cell and creating that connectivity. So we started off with postcards. When we first built the app, we launched in we started off with a web-based application, and we wanted to build an MVP first. We put that out into the atmosphere, let some of our users that we started to be able to build on social, test it out and see how it was going. And then we dropped our first app inside of the Apple iOS stores. We did that. We let that run and began to collect data from that for a few months before we dropped it on Android. And then since then, our users have been able to do pretty much the same thing, plus minus a couple of feature ads that make it a little bit more convenient along the journey.
Right. So you talk about your MVP, your minimum viable product. This is that first iteration that entrepreneurs want to get in the world, just to start getting some feedback and see how it's going and how's the market reacting and how you're messaging this and all that good stuff, right? So who developed that? Are you the person who developed it?
No, so I'm not one of the technical founders. In fact, when I first launched, I had no idea what I was doing. Before this company, I was running a remodeling business. Where I was the guy who you would call when you wanted a sexy kitchen in your home. And so Even with that, I didn't actually do the actual remodeling, right? I was in charge of running the actual logistics and the strategic planning, and figuring out how to get from 0 to 1 for our users, for our clients. Now on this one, it was interesting because we were venturing into a new sector, into tech spaces, and we knew that it was going to be something different. In fact, when I first started to do the research around how to build this app, I didn't even have an iPhone. I had a BlackBerry. But I
the
knew
BlackBerry. Yeah.
But I knew we wanted to be able to be innovative in how we thought about connecting families this way. There are millions of families that are in prisons in just the United States, right? And so when we think about the global incarceration population, and if we're being thoughtful about how we're preparing them for re-entering the community, then I knew we needed to go deeper with how we wanted to launch. And so I started to make connections out in the tech spaces and reach out to people and say, hey, we were building this product. We finally landed on a UX guy who was a director of a firm. He was really excited about the product. He was beginning to start something on his own, and he helped me to be able to put together our technical team that allowed us to be able to launch our MVP.
Nice. And it's great for other entrepreneurs to hear that. Like, you have the idea. You don't have to be the person putting the fingers on the keyboard and creating the app. You can find those people to fill in those gaps that you don't have, right?
There's so many different layers of the startup process, right? And I'm even learning now, like it took me 7 years in this journey to be able to learn how to be able to isolate the things that don't give me energy in my company, things that I can probably do to operate the company, but how to isolate the things that don't give me energy, pull those away, and then be able to understand what are the responsibilities of that one spinning plate that's in my life. And then once I'm able to identify what those responsibilities are of that one spinning plate, hire around it. And so one of the things for me, and we own a technical company, so I had to be intentional about finding the people that could run the technology side of that spinning plate.
Yeah. What's one other thing that you find doesn't give you energy that you've hired someone else to do?
I don't enjoy the operations of the company.
Okay. Yeah.
Thinking about building out the development plans, in each one of the sprints, whether it be a 30-day, 90-day development plan for how we're going to strategically go out and build the company. I like to be able to build that, talk about the plan, talk about the vision for where we're going, how we're going to get there, who we're going to involve, get everyone excited about it, pull all of the resources to be able to get it done, and even give all of those rocket ships that I'm bringing in the fuel to be able to get it done.
Yeah.
Being the one that tied the strings to make sure it happens doesn't give me energy.
Love that. Love that. So you're very mission driven, but you're not a nonprofit organization, right? You're established as a for-profit.
Yeah, we're a for-profit company. Yeah.
Okay. Did you go through some analysis to land on that, or was it always clear from the beginning?
It was always clear from the beginning. I knew I wanted to be able to build a model that allowed us to be able to create sustainable, not only wealth for the people that are part of our company, but it'll also allow us to be able to be one of those employers that can bring in talent in spaces that allow us to be able to scale. And now we're talking about not only hiring, having intentional hiring practices that are bringing in people that are impacted by the criminal justice system, which is like huge and very seldom done in this country, but also it allows us to be able to create a potential economic model that others can build from, and especially in the spaces of social impact. That's
awesome. So tell me tell me about funding. What's your funding journey? Well, have you gone for outside funding? And if so, what's that journey been like for you?
Yeah, so we bootstrapped the first several years of the company. In fact, there was such a huge knowledge by I went to prison. I had no idea that there was a such thing as venture capital. I had no idea. I'm like, wait, what? There are people that actually invest in ideas this way, and they're not a lending institution. I understood what debt financing was, and I probably wouldn't have called it debt financing. I was probably like, yo, look, you can go to the bank, go apply for some loan, or maybe go get some credit cards, max them out, and see how you can build from that, right? So I didn't understand what venture capital looked like, what angel investing looked like, and all the other possible ways that you can finance a business around equity financings, right? Or even
Right.
non-dilutive financings if you can figure out a way to be able to swing that. But I was one of the ones that had to be able to fund my business out of revenue. That's the only way I knew how to do it. So we knew we needed to be able to build a product that we could sell to to the public that wanted it and needed it. They saw the void. They needed to be able to fit. They needed to have something that filled from. It wasn't predatory like some of the phone systems that you see being permeated around the prison systems. And so we built that tech, and I'm super excited about being able to bootstrap that. It allowed me to be able to learn so much about the journey. It allowed me to be able to learn so much about the business in places that I wouldn't have been able to do it. And it also taught me how to do so much with so little. Being,
Yeah.
bootstrapping forces you to be able to be innovative inside of the business, right? So like, it's one thing to be like an innovator, externally to the world as you think about the product that you're building, but like internally, how are you thinking about innovative practices that will allow you to be able to give from 0 to 1? And when you don't have the resources to do it, you figure out a way.
Yeah, that's great. So you're not in the market for venture capital now, or are you looking for
So
another funder?
So I mean, now it's interesting. We're at this interesting inflection point where we're starting to grow a lot faster than the cash that we're generating can handle, and so we're reaching capacity. So it's an interesting problem to have, but we're growing too fast. Now that we're growing fast, we knew we had to figure out a way to be able to help fuel that growth. One of the things that we did in order to be able to do that was we combined that. I talked a little bit about that knowledge gap. So I combined that need for fulfillment inside of the knowledge gaps, and with also the need for capital. And we applied for a business accelerator and got into Techstars. Once we got into Techstars, that was our first venture investment that allowed us to be able to, test new product, be able to, pay, some salaries for a little bit longer, think about how we were marketing the product, and even learn from mentors that have built scalable businesses. And now that we've gone through that process, we're excited to be able to open up our seed round, where we'll be able to leverage the revenue that we've been able to capture and the traction that we're building through like the TED and the White House and all of the media and press that we're building. And now we can really build now a venture-backed company that is primed for true scalability.
That's exciting. So if someone
I'm
wants to get in
pumped.
touch with
I can't
you,
believe it.
yeah, if someone wants to get in touch with you about that, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that the best way is to always connect with me in our professional networks. If you want to talk a little bit more about how we're building the company, connect with me on LinkedIn. I really enjoy engaging with other founders and entrepreneurs and investors who are excited about being impactful inside of this space. So connect with me on LinkedIn, Marcus Bullock, super easy to find, and you can follow the journey and how I think about building the business and the intentionality that we have around the social impact part of it by following on our social channels.
Great. So Marcus, I know you're off to another meeting in a minute or two. Do you have any final thoughts? Anything we haven't talked about yet that you'd like to share before we sign off?
Well, I'm super pumped about, having, again, the opportunity to be able to talk about what we're doing with Flikshop and how we're being impactful for our families. But one of the things I'm learning is that our community sometimes wants to also figure out how to be able to engage and become involved in our mission of keeping families connected and helping to support people to reduce recidivism around the country. We want to keep people out of these prison cells so we can have safer communities and raise vibrant families, right? I love my family and I love the support that I have around me. But the only reason I'm Marcus and I'm able to succeed after prison is because of that support. And some of those people inside of those cells don't have it. So what we are asking our community to do is to band with us and become Flikshop Angels. A Flikshop Angel allows for our children to be able to send Flikshop postcards directly to their mom and dad completely for free. It's dope that we're able to share pictures on Instagram and Facebook with our parents so they can see how we're growing and having fun. But those mom and dads need to be able to see those funny faces and selfies and pictures of their children's report cards, just like we do out here in the community. And our community can help us to do that by visiting flikshopangels.com, becoming a Flikshop Angel, and helping us to keep our children with incarcerated parents connected.
Awesome. And Flikshop is Flikshop for people who are listening to the audio version of this podcast and aren't seeing it on the video. So
Yes,
go to the website
absolutely.
and check it out.
Yes,
All right.
FlikshopAngels.com. So flikshopangels.com, and you can become an angel and help us keep these families connected.
Very nice. All right, Marcus, thank you so much for sharing your story. I look forward to watching this business explode even further and watching those TED numbers go up. You're really making an impact.
Thank you. Everybody go watch the TED.
I will see you soon. Okay,
See you soon,
bye. Talk to you later,
Bye-bye.
Marcus.
Bye-bye.